The Galactic Military Academy on Station Helios 9 had trained warriors from 300 species over the last 2 centuries. Instructor Varric, a towering Corinthian with scales like polished obsidian and eyes that glowed amber in low light, had seen recruits panic, freeze, and fail in countless ways. But he had never seen anything like what happened the day Terra Lune faced the Predator Cubs. The training protocol was simple, brutal, and effective. Release 3 Vorscan Cubs, apex predators from the death world of Vorsk Prime, into an enclosed arena. The recruit must survive for 10 minutes using only their wits, agility, and whatever improvised weapons they could fashion from the environment. Most species had natural advantages: armored hides, venomous spines, electromagnetic manipulation. Humans had none of these. Terra Lune was the first human admitted to the academy in 15 years, and whispers followed her through every corridor. At first glance, she seemed laughably fragile, barely 5.5 feet tall, with soft skin that bruised easily, and a slender frame that looked incapable of withstanding a stiff breeze, let alone combat. The other cadets had made bets on how quickly she would wash out. Varric watched through the reinforced observation glass as Terra entered the arena. She wore standard-issue combat fatigues, her dark hair pulled back in a tight braid, her face calm. Too calm, Varric thought. Either she didn't understand the danger, or she possessed remarkable control. He suspected the former. "Release the Cubs," Varric commanded. 3 panels slid open along the arena walls. The Vorscan Cubs emerged, each the size of an earth tiger, with midnight black fur, 6 legs ending in retractable claws, and rows of crystalline teeth designed to shear through bone and metal alike. Their eyes, pure white and pupilless, locked onto Terra immediately. They began to circle. Standard protocol. The Cubs would test their prey, looking for weakness, fear, panic. Then they would strike. But Terra didn't run. She didn't even back away. Instead, she dropped slowly to one knee, keeping her movements deliberate and smooth. She lowered her head, breaking eye contact, a sign of submission in many predator species, but also an invitation to approach without threat. Varric leaned forward, his spines rising along his neck in surprise. The largest cub, its fur marked with silver streaks that indicated it would one day lead a pack, approached first. It growled, a sound like grinding stone that vibrated through the observation chamber. Tara remained perfectly still. The cub sniffed the air around her. Then impossibly it pressed its massive head against her shoulder. "What is she doing?" asked Lieutenant Jarn, a 4-armed Quellan who stood beside Varric. "I don't know," Varric admitted, his translator struggling to convey the uncertainty in his native tongue. Terra slowly raised one hand and placed it on the cub's head behind its ear ridges. She began to scratch gently, her fingers working through the dense fur. The cub's growl changed, deepened into something that almost resembled a purr. The other 2 cubs approached, curiosity overcoming caution. Within moments, all 3 predators surrounded Terra. She spoke to them in soft tones, words that the audio pickups barely captured. The language didn't matter. The tone did. Calm, confident, authoritative, but gentle. "This is irregular," Jarn said. "Should we intervene?" "No," Varric said, transfixed. "Let the protocol continue. According to procedure, if the recruits survived the initial 5 minutes without engaging in combat, the instructors would introduce a threat stimulus, a blast of sound, a sudden movement, something to trigger the cub's hunting instincts. Varric activated the mechanism, a mechanical arm extended from the ceiling, its end designed to mimic prey movement. It swung toward Terra in a threatening arc. The cub's response was instantaneous. The silver-streaked leader lunged not at Terra, but at the mechanical arm, its jaws clamping down on the reinforced metal with enough force to dent it. The other 2 cubs positioned themselves between Terra and the threat, their backs arched, their white eyes blazing with protective fury. They weren't hunting her. They were guarding her. "Impossible," Jarn breathed. "Vorscan cubs don't bond with other species. They barely bond with their own handlers." Varric said nothing. His mind raced through decades of xenobiology training, predator psychology, interspecies behavioral patterns. Nothing explained this. Humans weren't telepathic. They had no pheromonal advantage. They were, by all galactic standards, prey species themselves, their eyes positioned for depth perception rather than panoramic awareness, their bodies built for endurance rather than explosive power, their society based on cooperation rather than dominance hierarchies. And yet, Tara stood slowly and the cubs moved with her, maintaining their protective formation. She walked toward the observation glass, the predators flanking her like an honor guard. When she looked up at Varric, her expression was unreadable. "Permission to speak, sir?" Her voice came through the intercom. Varric activated his microphone. "Granted, Cadet Loon. I believe the training exercise is complete, sir. May I return the cubs to their habitat?" Varric glanced at the chronometer. 12 minutes had elapsed. She had exceeded the requirement without landing a single blow or fleeing a single step. "How did you do that, Cadet?" Tara tilted her head slightly, considering. "On Earth, sir, we domesticated wolves 15,000 years ago. We didn't conquer them through strength. We earned their trust through patience, consistency, and mutual respect. These cubs aren't so different from the dogs we've lived alongside for millennia. They respond to confidence without aggression, leadership without dominance. They just needed someone to understand that they weren't monsters. They were children. Children." Varric tested the word. In Corinthian culture, offspring were competitors, threats to be driven away at maturity. But humans raised their young in extended family units, protected them for years, taught them through play and patience rather than trial by combat. "Stand by, Cadet." Varric deactivated the intercom and turned to Jarn. "Document this. Every moment. Command needs to see this. What are you thinking, Instructor?" Varric watched as Tara knelt again and the cubs, the supposedly untamable, unpredictable, lethal Vorskan cubs, settled around her like a living fortress. One rested its head in her lap. "I'm thinking," Varric said slowly, "that we've fundamentally misunderstood what makes humans dangerous. It's not their technology or their aggression or their adaptability." He gestured toward the arena. "It's this. They don't just survive hostile environments. They make allies of them. They turn predators into protectors, enemies into family. Imagine what they could do on a battlefield, not with weapons, but with that." Jarn's 4 eyes widened in comprehension. "They wouldn't just defeat enemies." "No," Varric agreed. "They would convert them." In the arena below, Tara Loon stood and began leading the 3 Vorskan cubs back to their habitat, singing something soft and melodic in her native tongue. The cubs followed without hesitation, without question, as if they had known her all their brief, violent lives. Varric made a note in his official report. Recommend immediate expansion of human recruitment. Further study required on human bonding capabilities. Potential strategic asset unprecedented. But in his private log, he wrote something else. "Today I witnessed something I never expected to see. A human bear of claw and fang made a family of monsters. The galaxy isn't ready for what humanity represents. I'm not sure we ever will be.